Welcome back, my dear friends. My dear friends, once again I am back with the summary of one more novel of Thomas Hardy, that is his magnum opus. And the title of this very particular novel is The Mayor of Casterbridge. And the subtitle of the novel is The Life and Death of a Man of Character. That is all about Michael Henchard, a common man who rises to the position of the mayor of Hardy's fictional town, Casterbridge, and again gets back to that position or place. He rose to that position and becomes penniless and is left to die in ignorance. This novel of Thomas Hardy is very, very important from competition point of view. Lots of, you can say, many times question is straightway relating to the character or plot or something else asked from this very particular novel. So this novel becomes very, very important from competition point of view when Shelley becomes the part of that or any competition. So let's look at the summary of this novel. Try to understand this novel. Bear in mind the all important characters from Henchard to the minor characters, so on and so forth. So let's begin without any further ado, dear friends. The Mayor of Casterbridge. This is the subtitle, The Life and Death of a Man of Character. Remember, why? Because many times the subtitle of this novel has been asked in the examinations, particularly competitive examination. Hardy wrote the novel over a course of 3 years. Remember this. Hardy took 3 years to complete this novel and published it in the year 1886. But before publishing, he first serialized in the graphic magazine. Remember this. Before publishing this novel as a book, Hardy serialized this novel in the year, first of all, Hardy serialized this in the magazine, the graphic. Why? Because at that time, serializing a novel had become a fashion. It had become very much lucrative. Why? Because actually the novelists were garnering huge amount of money by doing that. And somehow, who began this trend? None other than the greatest novelist of the Victorian era, that is the representative novelist of the era, and none other than Charles Dickens, the greatest novelist of the Victorian age, who died only probably at the age of 58. So Hardy, stepping into, you can say this, stepping into or following the trend or the fashion of the time, first serialized the novel in the graphic magazine and then published it as a novel. Remember, these facts, these points are very important from, again, I'm telling you, competition point of view. Now let's begin what? The summary. Plot summary. The novel begins in Weiden, Priors. Remember, name of the place. Here the novel begins. When the novel begins, we see the central character, the protagonist of the novel, Michael Henchard, heading in the direction of a local fair with his wife Susan and his young daughter Elizabeth Jane. These three people are heading in the direction of a local fair. There they reach, and at a formality tent, this young man, Michael Hencher, the protagonist of the novel, is attracted towards a certain alcoholic drink formality. He drinks to his content, and very soon this person gets drunk, and after getting drunk, he crosses all the limits of the humanity and he auctions his wife Susan and agrees to sell her and his daughter to a sailor. What? Newson. What is the full name? Full name of Richard Newson. Remember this. He ends up selling his wife and daughter to a sailor, Richard Newson, only for 5 gold guineas, 5 gold coins. Remember that. Fact, very important. How much money does Michael Henchard sell his wife and daughter for? Just 5 gold coins, 5 gold guineas. To whom does he do so? He sells his wife and daughter to Richard Newson. And what is Richard Newson? He is a sailor, a boatman by profession. S-E-I-L-O-R, remember that. Elizabeth Jane head for a local fair. This is fair, not fair, fair, where he gets drunk at formality tent and sells his wife and daughter to a sailor, Richard Newson, for 5 gold guineas. Remember that. The next morning, after regaining his senses, regrets and vows not to drink for next 20 years. The next morning, when he gets out, when he regains his senses, when the just influence of the liquor subsides and he feels normal, he realizes the blunder. He realizes what a great blunder he committed the previous day under the influence of the liquor. He regrets. First he tries to look for his just a family here and there, and after that he regrets a lot and swears. He swears not to drink for the next 20 years. Remember, this kind of question can pop up in competition exam. For how many years Michael Henchard vows not to drink? Remember, 20 years. He vows not to drink for next 20 years. After realizing the blunder he committed the previous day. Remember, blunder word, great mistake. Blunder is committed, whereas mistake is made. Remember that. Generally, people use both word blunder and mistake. That is absolutely wrong. So, avoid it. Use blunder and use commit with blunder and make with mistake. So he regrets and vows not to drink for next 20 years. He settles in Casterbridge, this fictional town of this Hari, based on Hari's hometown Dorchester. Remember that this fictional town of Hari is based on Hari's hometown Dorchester and rises to the position of the mayor of the town. From there, just this young man with his head down heads in the direction of the nearby town, that is Casterbridge, that is fictional town. There he begins as a hay trusser, and see, very soon he rises to the high position of the mayor of that town and becomes very rich. And in this way, many years roll one after the other, and as many as 18 years rolled. And now, since Susan, just Henchard's wife, now has lost that person she was sold to, that is Richard Newson, a sailor. So now she decides to get back to that place in search of her husband. Why? Because she realized that the purchase that person made of her was not valid. So she comes to that Wedding Prior, and there, with the help of a certain woman, she gets this information, important piece of information, that exactly 18 years before, just after selling her, the next morning, her husband just moved in the direction of Casterbridge. She gets this important information from Wedding Priors. From there, she heads in the direction of Casterbridge. She comes, and when she comes with her daughter from, remember, not from Henchard, but from Richard Newson. Why? Because when he just sold his wife. Remember, at that time, he had a daughter, but that daughter died later on. So, one girl again was born to just Susan with the union of Richard Newson, and they named the same. Remember this. So here Susan and Elizabeth Jane, getting this information, they move in the direction of what? Just Casterbridge, and after coming there, they get to know that Henchard has become very rich by becoming the mayor of that town. But at that time, when they land in the town, they enter the town, they find that he is in a kind of a mess, he is upset, because the town folk are not happy at all and are complaining against him because of bad harvest of the wheat. So they think that since Henchard is not to some extent in happy condition, so instead of bothering, they straightway go to a hotel or an inn, and there they start staying. And there this young girl, Elizabeth Jane, becomes a waitress to earn their bread. There, what happens further? See this. Susan and Elizabeth returned Weydon Priors after 18 years. Remember, they reached Casterbridge and came closer to him. As Newson is dead, remember this, I told you that they come here, they come to Weydon Priors, get this information that just after selling them, after the auction, the next morning he started in the direction of the Casterbridge. They move in the direction of Casterbridge. They reach Casterbridge and I told you that they just get to know that at present just this person is in a kind of trouble because of the bad harvest of wheat. So town people are just protesting, just complaining, speaking bad of him. So he is upset. So they stay in a hotel where this young girl Elizabeth Jane becomes what? A waitress to serve them, to help them. But a time comes, they send a letter to this person, means Michael Henchard, and they meet once again after a long period of 18 years. Remember that. And once again, just Michael Henchard and Susan marry. And remember, Henchard thinks that Elizabeth Jane is his daughter. But remember, she is the biological daughter to Richard Newson. Why? Because the just biological daughter to Henchard died in childhood. Remember this. So they reached Casterbridge, came closer to him as Newson is dead. The town people are upset with Henchard because of harvest of bad crop, I told you. Here, when just town people are protesting a lot, they're protesting just actually Michael Henchard, the mayor of the town, Fairfray, a young man, comes for the rescue of Henchard and somehow he normalizes the situation and condition. And the result is that Michael Henchard gives him a great favor by appointing him his manager. And he becomes a very important person in the life of Michael Henchard. Soon, just Michael Henchard with his wife and daughter start living a normal life, but now another trouble comes in the life of, you can say, another problem crops up in the life of Michael Henchard, and that is those letters, those love letters he exchanged or he wrote to a Jersey woman named Lucetta Templeman. Lucetta Templeman was a young lady, is a young lady in this novel, in love with Michael Henchard. Michael Henchard explains everything to his manager Fairbury, that he has had a platonic kind of a love affair with this young woman, that is Lucetta Templeman. He explains this, but in the meantime, his love letters are read to the public by his own probably ex-manager, just Joshua Jopp, and this badly just damages the reputation of this man, and this woman also suffers a lot too because of all this defamation. This Lucetta Templeman, Fairbury even marries her to normalize the situation and things and all, but just town people of Casterbridge, they take out a march, and that march is called a skimity. Just hang on. Elizabeth serves. Yes, skimity ride. People of the town start marching and parading all about the town, protesting and shouting slogans against Michael Henchard for his bad character, and just speaking all bad about just Lucetta Templeman. And she gets so much hurt and offended that she falls sick, and she at last dies. Who? Lucetta Templeman. Remember that. She dies. Now, he loses everything because of all that. Who? Michael Henchard. All because of his rash, irrational decisions. The journey he began from that place, again he gets back to that place. Means, just as right in the beginning, 19 or 20 years ago, he was a common, ordinary man with no money at all. Once again, he loses all the position, all the thing and everything. And now his wife, even Susan, also dies. And very soon he gets to know that Elizabeth Jane is not his biological daughter, but the daughter of that sailor, Richard Newson. He starts hating and disliking, but a time comes that Elizabeth Jane and Frederick get closure, and at last they marry. Remember, and they marry and settle comfortably, whereas this man Michael Henchard is left all in ignorance, in ignorance, with nobody else at his own side to help him, serve him, and care him in his old age. And he even dies in ignorance. With this, the novel ends, remember. So, but I'll finish the reading of this. See, Periphery helps him coming out of trouble and becomes his manager. Susan and Elizabeth stay in a hotel where Elizabeth serves as waitress. Henchard meets them and they decide to live together after Henchard and Susan remarriage. He tells Frederick about his relationship with Lucetta Templeman. The town people take a skimity ride to defame them. That results in sickness and death of Lucetta. Henchard love letters are read publicly by his ex-manager Joshua Job, very important minor character. He loses his position and rendered penniless, and becomes rendered means became penniless and dies in ignorance. Whereas Fairfrey, his manager, now who rises to the position of Casterbridge, becomes mayor and settles down with Elizabeth as her husband in the end. In this way, this novel ends. So I hope, my dear friends, this summary of this novel will definitely help you understand this novel in short. Provided that you find some complication, do let me know. Thank you for watching.